What is up, NFL fans? Welcome back to another episode of The Way We See It. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by my only friend, Wesley Coleman. What's up, Wesley? How's it going?
What's up, man? We're got lots of NFL movement and news and negotiating to talk about.
Combine stuff, all that. It's going to be a fun time of year. This is a fun time of year. Do you enjoy the roster development part of the year? I actually do. I didn't as a younger adult. Now, as I follow teams closer, the league closer, I really enjoy this time of year. What do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's important, to see which veterans you're needing to get away from or who's not going to make it, and how you're going to build. I love the combine. I love that the report card still came out. I mean, I know you don't because the Steelers were an F minus.
I'm fine with it.
It's
I'm totally fine with it. I swear. Let's talk. You want to talk about the report cards quick?
Yeah.
What's your takeaway from? Well, first, I was the naive one. I'll be honest. I'll be honest, everyone here. I was that naive one that wasn't sure if the information was going to see the light of day anymore. The NFLPA said we're still going to conduct the report. We're going to disseminate that amongst our contingent, but we're not going to put it publicly. And next thing you know, ESPN gets all of the data. It's out there for the world to see.
For every team, yes.
Were you expecting it to get leaked?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, so I am just naive, I guess.
I didn't know if it. I mean, I figured it would take a while for somebody to put it all in the format they did with every team on the same one and all. But yeah, I figured they would all be coming out.
I mean, the Steelers get an F in a lot of categories, and they deserve an F in a lot of categories. Their field was trash this year. I mean, it was awful. For someone that watched every single game, when they played at home, there was only a couple times where the field looked like it was in good shape. And you're playing 8 home games. So what are we doing here? What are we doing? So and the owners are still up in arms, and they're pissed, and they're sending memos like, we're really mad about this. It is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the owners I don't think really are so upset. There's only a few owners that got D's and F's when they actually they put the owner on the NFL report card. Bidwell with the Cardinals was the only F, and the Bengals, Bucks, and Steelers were the only D's.
Yeah,
so I'm sure the other owners are probably like, yeah, that's fine. They put it out.
All right, last thing here before we move off of the report cards. I didn't want to spend too much time on this.
Sure.
In your opinion, do you think I staunchly disagree with this statement, but there are people that say this is going to be the deciding factor between a free agent coming or not, choosing not to come to our team? I could not disagree more. I think it's all about the money. What do you think?
Yeah, this will have 0%. There will be nobody that's got, agents calls. Hey, we got this contract offer. Hey, remind me what their report card grades were on their cafeteria and the way they treat families before I agreed. Never going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, they're offering me $10 more million. I don't care if they have 5 toilets. We're going there. Right. We're going there. All right. I also, last week on the show, we talked about potential trade or cut candidates, and you were right with a couple. There's sources saying that the Vikings have informed Aaron Jones, running back, which we talked about last week, that he is going to be cut. And that was someone we talked about. And Javon Hargrave's another one from Minnesota, is they're not in a good cap position that they're probably going to release. But this also leads us into one of the topics for today, and that is there's been a lot of trade activity, and we are less than a week away from the tampering period starting. I feel like this is just the NFL and teams, organizations saying, look, we're going to cut this guy. If we can get anything for him, let's try and get something for him. In this case, you look at some of the trades that have already happened. The Detroit Lions sent David Montgomery to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans sent a guard. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I think it's
Drew Scruggs, which okay. I mean, I think that for both sides, I think they had a little bit to do with a pending retirement that came the same day or that afternoon or the next day from the Lions. They had an offensive lineman retire.
Okay, but they also, Houston sent a lineman to the Browns too.
Correct.
I do believe. So the Houston Texans have been making a lot of moves. What's your take on all this action a week before the actual free agency period starts?
I mean, I think that little things like this. I think David Montgomery. I mean, he's 29 years old, but Houston. I think he's filling the role that they thought they had Joe Mixon coming to fill last year, or maybe even the Chubb role, which it looks like they're not going to go with a big workhorse running back. They're going to have 2 older veterans in Chubb and Montgomery, along with Woody Marks. So I like this one for them, but I mean, I like the little bit of movement. It's you don't want to anybody on waiver wires, or am I going to get a chance at them, or are they going to get a better offer from somebody else? You just take the guesswork out of it, and you get the player you want.
In terms of the Montgomery deal, I think there's still a lot of tread on his tires because he was even in more of a two-back system when he was in Chicago. Obviously,
Right.
he shared carries with Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. I think he still has a lot of left, and he's going to be in another similar system in Houston. I think it's a good pickup for the Houston Texans. As you said, Joe Mixon, we talked about him last week, was expected to be that guy, and they end up having to roll with Nick Chubb and a bunch of other guys. Woody Marks turns into something, but still, I think it's a good pickup.
Yeah, you're right on Montgomery. Just in 2025, according to NFL Next Gen stats, he recorded 125 rush yards over expected.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, he's a positive force and running back. So it's, I think I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that really, I'm surprised that this hasn't been more, and maybe it has, and I just don't remember years past. I'm surprised that more NFL teams aren't doing this anyways. And we've seen it at the end of training camps when the cut down day is about to happen, and
Right.
teams are like, hey, you've got a guy that we like. What if we trade you a late round pick for him, whether it doesn't matter what position, and a deal gets done? I'm surprised that this is just now starting to pick up steam, and that is free agency is about to happen. You might release this guy. I don't want him, as you said, to go to waivers. So what is it going to take to get him? I'm surprised this hasn't happened. Are you surprised as well?
Yeah, I don't think it's has been as big of a deal, but it's just because I mean, with contracts being backloaded, typically once you're wanting to get rid of a player, they're more expensive. So it's I just think it's normally tough. But then there's less and less teams with the cap space to go like, well, I don't care if I'm overpaying the guy that's not that
Yeah.
good. I have the cap space. There's less and less of that nowadays.
Now, I think there's kind of waves. I always talk about waves in free agency. There's that initial wave where the big money deals get sent out and then it kind of dies down. And then there's a secondary wave. This is all before the NFL draft. After the draft is when you get to that third wave, which is look, we didn't address this position in the draft. These players are still on the open market. We'll just try and fill the gaps as best as we can. I feel like with the trades, this is one of those final waves where you're trying to get a big deal trade done prior to free agency. And then you have another wave right before the draft where you're trying to gain some capital for the upcoming season's draft, in this case, 2026. This is all going to revert back to a report from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated that Max Crosby is probably going to be dealt. And here's what was said from Breer. I'd lean towards a Max Crosby trade happening and maybe this week with teams like Dallas, Chicago, Baltimore, Buffalo, New England, Philly, and LA Rams keeping tabs on his availability. So they're trying to get a deal done before free agency. And it makes sense because if you do get rid of him, you might want to target an edge rusher in some way or shape or form as a veteran and not just look into the draft to try and answer that. But let's talk about Crosby in particular. You think he's going to be traded?
I do.
What do you think this is going to look like?
I thought last week I was wondering if they needed to work something out, but this coming out, I think he's being traded. This is too much.
What do you think this trade is going to look like? Do you think it would enter Micah Parsons territory, or do you think this would have to be a different deal per se?
I'm now kind of this many teams are going to be on board. I think it's going to be over Micah Parsons territory. I think it's going to be a big. I think it's going to be an enormous kind of trade, and like whatever fan base is trading for him is probably going to hurt. Like they're going to be the draft picks that they get rid of or players they get rid of. They're going to be like, ooh, I didn't expect that.
Well, let's look at the teams that were listed by Breer: the Cowboys, the Bears, the Ravens, the Bills, the Patriots, Eagles, and Rams. 8 teams. That's a lot. Okay. Let's try and narrow our focus. Out of those 8 teams, are there any teams you're like, yeah, I could see why they would want him, but they're probably not going to give up what the Raiders are asking for?
New England.
I agree.
I just don't see them as kind of.
I don't think Baltimore is going to give up what they would be asking for either. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as in tune with Baltimore as you are, but I wouldn't guess that either. The other teams, I think Dallas, Chicago, Buffalo, and Philly make a lot of sense, and the Rams, they have the cap space. Like that would be a huge move for them.
Okay, so then you also have to think about the Raiders and how are they good? Because there was talk of the Chiefs, and they're not going to trade this guy in division. Like that will never happen. So they probably are okay sending him to an NFC opponent. So that automatically eliminates teams like Buffalo, Baltimore, New England. And then you have Philly, the Rams that you just mentioned, Chicago. I think the team that I would say is a dark horse here and shouldn't be a dark horse because they've proven time and time again that they are willing to make a big time trade, and that's Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that there's going to be some other teams I think hop into it too that we're not expecting. And starting in 2026, Max Crosby's salaries is 30 million, 29 million, 26.5 million, and 27.43 million. Like it's a now, do I think he's going to play all 4 years at that? No, I think he's going to be needing an extension and getting to that. It's going to be a 4 or it might be a 5.
Yeah.
But he's going to definitely deserve a pay increase.
I was gonna say those are very manageable numbers that you just said, especially with the salary cap continuing to increase every single season, going over $300 million this year. Who would be a dark horse team that you just said that you could see a dark horse team getting into the fray?
I mean, you're talking about like a team like Tampa Bay or Carolina who thinks they are a player like that away. I'll tell you, they don't have the draft capital this year because they already traded away. I could see the Falcons getting in on this after the James Pierce fiasco, where I'm not sure if he's ever going to play an NFL snap again. And they think that they are, if they think Michael Penix is their quarterback, I could see them getting in there too.
I don't know if you know the answer to this. I'm putting you on the spot. Does he have a no trade clause?
Oh, I don't think so, but
I didn't know if he would have to approve a trade, because if someone's like, hey man, we're sending you to Atlanta, he might be like, yeah, I might as well stay in Vegas if that's the case.
I would assume he does not have a no trade clause.
I don't know how many players in the NFL do have no trade clauses, but still, yeah. So I think Philly, Chicago. What do you think about Chicago? Chicago really turned heads this past season, clearly making a run into the NFC playoffs. They proved that they are a contending team in the NFC. Do you think it makes sense for them to go out and get Max Crosby?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they believe in Dennis Allen and what he's going to do with their defense, and they where they're building with Caleb Williams, they have the rookie quarterback contract going right now that allows them to go out and get a 30, 40, $50 million defensive player.
Yeah. Okay. So you think that he's going to be traded. Now's the time for you to predict where you think he's going to go. What's your prediction?
And it seems like that. I mean, Dallas, Philly, Rams is kind of where I kind of revolve around there. I just don't know. I think Dallas and Philly are going to drive the price up against each other like pretty high. I'll predict the Eagles.
It's funny you say that because I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I think because they got that extra pick for the Micah Parsons deal, they have more than one pick. They have the capital to be able to say, we think that we need another impact player. They need to bolster their defense. Philadelphia could definitely make a run, but I think what you said is true. The Eagles and the Cowboys are going to go bump, but just bumping it up. Right. All right. So we all think, when do you think it happens though? Do you think it happens before free agency, or do you think this is a pre-NFL draft trip?
Yeah, this kind of move, it's going to have to happen. These are playoff teams that believe they are positioning themselves to win the Super Bowl. I think that the highest price they're going to get is going to be as early as possible. We've seen teams mess up by waiting until too close to the draft or after the draft to trade people. The Raiders can't do that. They've too big of a deal for them. I will say the one thing where the Rams kind of come in is the Rams have 2 first-round draft picks this year because they got that one from the Falcons.
Oh, that's right.
The Rams can offer something the Cowboys can do that too, but they have the higher pick of all of those.
Philly would be the team that I think would throw in not just draft capital, but a potential player
for sure.
Yeah. They're like, okay, we don't have the draft capital, but we'll give you this guy. And so that'll be really interesting. We'll keep tabs on that. And maybe by the next time we talk, we'll be
AJ Brown for a receiver for Fernando Mendoza.
You think Mendoza, we'll go under the assumption that he is the number 1 overall pick, which he will be.
Yes.
Do you think he starts day 1, or do you think they kind of ease him into it?
No. Yes. Start
hey, tread carefully. I'm telling you.
I like the guy.
I like him too, but I don't necessarily think that starting him on day 1 is the best way to go. I mean, let's talk about the players in recent history that have had success starting from day 1. I'd say Jaden Daniels, he started from day 1, didn't he? Or was it Mariota?
No. Daniel started.
Okay. But Drake May didn't. Drake May sat around a little bit. He was in the Super Bowl this past year. Trying to think Caleb Williams. Did he
Caleb
start
Williams
from it?
started.
He did. I
Bo
don't
Nix,
know.
Bo Nix started from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but it just, gosh, I feel like he's on such a bad team. And that offensive line is so bad. We've seen so many quarterbacks get beat to hell in the early portions of their career. And so I would be okay I'm with you. I like Mendoza as a young man. I think has a great character. He's a good skill set. I'd hate to see him get ruined. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some quarterbacks, though. There are some quarterbacks that are going to be cut. Some are trying to be traded. And again, I don't know anyone, maybe outside of the New York Jets, that would say, yeah, let's make a trade instead of just saying, I'm going to wait. You're going to cut this guy anyways. You're going to owe him all this money. Here are the names that are being thrown out. Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Tua, Justin Fields, and Anthony Richardson, who over the past week was told by the Indianapolis Colts that he's allowed to seek a trade. Of those quarterbacks, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say all 6 of these guys, if they're cut the way nobody's trading for Anthony Richardson his salary. All 6 of these you'll be able to get them for the first year at between $1 and $1.3 million because they're getting all their money from their other team, and you've got no reason to pay them more than that. So it'll be between $1 and $1.3 million. You'll be able to get them for.
And again, like you keep hearing these rumors of like Kyler Murray could be traded. Kirk Cousins has been reported he's being released. Tua, no one knows what they're going to, we've talked about that on this podcast. That contract is a nightmare. But Anthony Richardson trade, again, like you said, Justin Fields is going to be released. I don't see any of these, like you said, trading for any of these quarterbacks. It makes no sense.
I kind of agree, except there's 2 teams out there that I don't think have a choice of trying to win this year. And if they don't think they can get these guys when they're competing for them, they think their only way to for sure get one of these quarterbacks is a trade. I'll say the New York Jets, Aaron Glenn is fighting for his job. He's already had to fire coordinators in his first season. He has to get a quarterback in there and show the Jets can win games. I think Kyler Murray makes a lot of sense for the New York Jets.
It's going to be a dumpster fire.
I think that I could see Tua kind of making sense, but Kyler makes a lot of sense for them. And then I think the Minnesota Vikings have to have a veteran quarterback. I think that you might see some Derek Carr rumors to Minnesota that start coming up pretty quickly and kind of getting out there. But I don't think with Justin Jefferson already not being super happy and the way people getting fired in Minnesota, now they're in a bad cap situation, so they've got to really be strategic about who they get him. And I don't think Kirk Cousins wants to go back there. I think why would he?
What, did it end poorly? I don't remember.
He wanted to be there, and they got rid of him, and that's why he signed a good deal in Atlanta, but he wanted to stay.
At his age, though, don't you think it would come down to who's giving him the best chance to play?
Probably.
And succeed? That team's ready, man.
See, I think that you say that, but I think there's 2 good scenarios. One is you're the starter. The other is there's a lot of young teams bringing in young quarterbacks or drafting a quarterback this year, and we've seen how quickly that falls apart, and you become a veteran starter pretty quick again. So I think that you can be strategic again about what you're looking at in the situations. I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting for those 6 guys. I say those 6. I'm throwing Anthony Richardson out there, and I ain't crazy about Justin Fields, but Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, and Tua can play NFL games and are they're towards the bottom, but they are 32 of the best quarterbacks, in the NFL right now. They're towards the lower end of that, but those guys can play, and so it's getting them for $1 to $1.3 million is pretty interesting.
So you think Kyler Murray, out of the 6 quarterbacks we're mentioning, is the only one that you could see any team saying, I want to trade for this player because I don't want to wait around to see if he gets cut, and if he gets cut, are we going to be the highest bidder?
Yeah, I think he's the one that kind of would make sense out of that. Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely. I don't think he gets traded for I'm betting against it, but it wouldn't shock me if a team like the Jets were like,
okay, off the top of your head, teams that need quarterbacks in the NFL, We have Minnesota. We have the New York Jets. We talked about those two. I would throw the Pittsburgh Steelers in there as 3. I would put the Miami Dolphins in at 4. These are not rankings. These are just numbering them off.
You putting the Browns in there, or you? I don't think the Browns put themselves in there. I think they're in the Shador world.
I agree. I don't think this year they are in that mix. So there's 4 teams. Who am I missing?
Colts.
Yep.
I mean, Atlanta needs a starter because Penix is not going to play at the start of the season, but I don't think they're being too serious about that.
Arizona, I guess, if you're getting rid of Kyler Murray. Is that it? 6? Yeah. 6 teams? Okay. So there's 6 teams that need quarterbacks. Pittsburgh could be maybe move that to 5 because there's all reports are that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back whether you like it or not. Right. So of these 5 teams, which do you think is the most attractive landing spot of the 5?
Oh, Minnesota.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Without a doubt. You got arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
I know. Do you want a bold take? I could see the Vikings potentially landing 2 players off this list.
Yeah. Like, is the second one Anthony Richardson or Justin Fields?
Yes, it is. No, it is. Yeah. So like, let's say they get Geno Smith. Okay. Let's say Geno Smith is their guy. And they're like, okay, JJ McCarthy and Geno Smith are going to battle it out. And then you got Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson just sitting there real cheap. And they might say, let's bring them in. We need a third quarterback anyways. And we might be able to do some things with them in certain packages and get them on the field. That wouldn't shock me at all. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see Sean Payton doing something like that. Like he likes to be creative, and I'll scoff anytime anybody says somebody should play the Taysom Hill role because I think it's super disrespectful to Taysom Hill as a one of one of what he did on special teams and on quarterback and running back and tight end and wide receiver and all that kind of stuff. It's disrespectful to say, but there are some creative things. I just don't think Justin Fields or Anthony Richardson is going to humble themselves to say, like, maybe I'm not a full-time quarterback. Maybe I should be open to these other things with my, my athleticism and I've got big hands and I can do this and I don't think they're going to do it.
Do you like to be employed? Yes or no? Well, let me ask you this, because you brought up Taysom Hill, which brings me to the Saints. And this is I've heard this guy's name a couple times being floated around, and that's Spencer Rattler.
Yep.
What's your take on Spencer Rattler if a team were to say, like, hey, what's it going to take to get him? Is he even a worthy prospect to even bring up in this conversation? You've seen him more than anyone else.
Absolutely. I think that he, besides Kirk Cousins, he'd be better in Minnesota than anybody on this list. That I've thought of when we first talked about as Saints fans last year, that it was going to Tyler Shuck and like, what could Spencer Rattler do? I was like, you put him in Minnesota's offense with those players and with that offensive staff, he is a for sure starting quarterback in the NFL. He is good enough to do it. I like him a lot, and I like him being behind Shuck as if anything goes wrong. But I actually want to see Rattler traded because I want to see him start in the NFL. And he's not going to get that opportunity with the Saints. But I really like him and everything he's done, the personality he is, and he's good enough for sure.
Okay. Let's do some quick predictions. Where do you see Kyler Murray playing in 2026?
New York Jets.
All right. I'll agree with you. I think it's going to be an absolute dumpster fire, but I agree with you. What about Geno Smith?
Miami?
Really? I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Okay.
I think that Minnesota, after Sam Darnold and that experiment, they think like this is a guy that
looks so bad though, with Darnold going to Seattle and a year later, coming.
That would look bad, but so that's actually. What about Kirk Cousins?
I think that they all figure out that there needs to be some I'm sorry's, and Minnesota's where he needs to be.
Okay, if they don't go Geno, I think they go Kirk Cousins. What about Tua? This is a tough one. Like I said, we've talked about it. His contract is a nightmare.
Yeah, that's. I'm not sure with him. I mean, can it be Arizona? Maybe. I mean, you're running out of places to put a player.
I mean, Indianapolis is a possibility, but is Daniel Jones going to come back? What's his ruptured Achilles going to look like in terms of his timetable to return? Like, those are questions to figure out too.
I'll Yeah, no, I'm going to stick to in Arizona. I'm going to put Kirk Cousins in Indianapolis because I think Derek Carr is going to go to Minnesota.
Okay, so you're putting Derek Carr into the fray. What about Fields and Richardson? Any thoughts there?
Oh, I think they're going to go play with who cares.
Hey, people are like, there are Steeler fans that think that the Steelers should trade for Anthony Richardson. It's like, are you nuts? Like, if you want to pick him up and sign him as a free, I guess he's been cut and released, that's different. Why would you trade for that guy? That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Atlanta was interested in Justin Fields before signing Kirk Cousins and drafting Michael Penix. I could see them getting back in the fray to get him. I think it to him makes sense because maybe I don't let Michael Penix get back on the field, which I think they're going to tell him this is Michael Penix's job, no matter how good you do. But his hope is going to be I shut him up by the way I play.
Yeah. I'll take a pass on that one. But all right, man. Next time we talk, there will be deals made. We'll be talking about deals that are not official because the league year doesn't start to the 11th. But I don't know. Do you think that we're going to see some record-setting deals for players? I always say this is like there's two players that come to mind when I think about players that messed up the entire system. Deshaun Watson is obviously number one, as the NFL owners hated the Browns for the contract they gave him and all that guaranteed money. And the second is Christian Kirk, who, remember when he signed with, I want to say it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, they paid him so much money and it completely changed the entire cycle of free agency and how much players are getting paid. You think we're going to see some of those deals?
Yeah, I think we'll see a couple of big deals. The biggest deal is that there's not a quarterback that's resetting the market with these. We talked about these kind of quarterbacks, and you got Malik Willis. I think he'll get a good deal, which we didn't even talk about him.
You think he gets 30 a year?
There's so many quarterback jobs open. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's what they're saying in Indianapolis coming out of the combine, that he and his representation are expecting $30 million a year.
There's going to be something with Jalen Phillips. I think Alec Pierce is going to surprise us. I think Trey Hendricks is going to get mad with the number he ends up getting. It's going to all of this for the last 2 years is going to have not been worth it for Trey Hendrickson. I think that's going to end up being a mess. I think the Kenneth Walker deal is going to be huge for a running back, but I don't know. This isn't the biggest free agency class, but I think one of your edges like Jalen Phillips or Boye Mafe it's going to surprise people with like those guys are getting.
All right. Hey, last thoughts. What was your take on the combine? What did you think about everything?
Man, it was fun. I'll tell you what, we got some athletes, and it was. I think it makes the this Saints draft 8th, so I'm very interested in the top 7 draft picks and what's going on there. But I think I really liked it because some guys who were projected in the teens had some great combines, and we might see some of those guys get taken sooner. So it helps me for the Saints of somebody that could be a top 5 worthy guy falling to number 8 or something like that. But I really liked it. I like that we're seeing some guys that have had some good play on the field and they have some good tape, now seeing some super athletic numbers from the combine. So
they are freaks. They're freaks of nature, man.
Huge, fast guys, though. When you're talking about people doing things that haven't been done in 20 years of the combine, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I just want to say this about the combine, and this all stems from Mekhi Lemon. There's people saying that Mekhi Lemon is off their board after bombing interviews. I understand it. They're not taking a guy that's that talented off their board. You're just not. You're not taking him off your board. You might move him down your board, a la George Pickens when he was drafted by the Steelers in round 2. He was not a round 1 pick because of the red flags. I'm sorry. It's the propaganda that comes out of the combine and pro days and all that stuff that just drive me insane. What's your take on all that interviewing stuff?
Yeah, I think that, there's going to be things. That's the stuff that we saw publicly. There's stuff that's done behind the scenes in the interviews in person that we don't know about and that are worse probably. I know of some things that happened with Shedeur Sanders last year and things he said in private rooms that took him off of people's draft boards. Yeah. His dad was not the reason he fell to 5. His throwing was not the reason he fell to 5. His kind of weaker arm was not the reason he fell to the 5th round. It's things he said specifically to teams in interviews and told teams, I don't want to be in your organization. It's, I mean, you kind of do those. So I think there's more to it than that kind of comes from behind there. But
I think there's also a big difference, and I agree with everything you said, and I'm not discrediting what you're talking about as it pertains to last year with Shador. But man, you're talking about a receiver. It's different than a franchise quarterback, a potential
yeah,
first round guy. You could take if he falls to the third, some would call it a huge drop. But at the same time, you're still a day 2 pick. You're probably going to be in the top 100. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think if anything, he falls to the end of the first round and not all the way out of the first round. You agree or disagree?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's still going to go early. There's, listen, people were talking about like that Carnell Tate ran slower than they thought he would. Okay, well, he's not dropping out of the top 15. Neither is Lemon. People might be a little bit picky about some of those things, but
They're saying Caleb Downs has a meniscus injury and a potential ACL thing going on. Who knows?
Now there is a little bit of some weirdness with that. I also think that you got somebody like Kenyon Sadiq that goes and jumps 3.5 feet in the air and runs the fastest 40 by a tight end in 23 years. Don't be surprised when somebody goes crazy with how high they pick a tight end. As well as tight ends have been doing, as quickly as tight ends have been, rookie tight ends are adjusting to the NFL. That dude's a weapon too. So don't be surprised when he's not falling to 12, 13, 14 like people are predicting.
I mean, it's funny because your team's picking 8th, as you just mentioned, and everyone always talks about this guy's going to go in the top 5. This guy might be in the top 5. There's only 5 players selected.
There's only 5 of them.
We know that number 1 who that is, so there's only 4 other players. People just need to calm down with some of that stuff. And
I feel like we know who number 2 is too. Like, I mean, everybody's gonna be shocked if Arvell Reese isn't going 2nd overall. And I mean, I think that Mendoza, Reese, and Ruben Bain in the top 5 is there's no way that doesn't happen.
So there's only 2 more players.
Then you're getting yeah.
So and every year there's players that are taking like, wait, they just took who, when, and this player's still on the board. It happens every year. And I'm excited. That's the only thing I hate about the combine is that the combine gets you really amped up for the draft. And then you have to wait almost 2 full months until it actually gets here.
Right.
But I always felt like the draft should be the beginning of April, not the end of April, but they know how to spread things out. I get it. Any final thoughts on the combine?
No, I'm excited. It's good to dig into the draft and see people's overreactions to everything. I was really happy to see Garrett Nussmeier throw in public for the first time healthy in 7 months. And he finally, talked about the rumors of what was going on, and he could not throw without pain since the second practice of the LSU offseason. He didn't play a single game this year healthy. And I think we saw today, I think it helped him. It cemented him as QB3 out of this draft behind Mendoza and Simpson. So we'll just see how high he ends up going. But I liked seeing him actually. He's a good kid and, coach's son and all. So good to see him actually have a good combine.
Yeah, LSU. There you go. All right. Pro day schedule is started already. We'll be keeping tabs on that as well as free agency next week. Wesley, why don't you tell us where we can find your podcast?
Yeah, you can find Don't Patrol Podcast on any of your streaming platforms. You can find us on X at Don't Patrol PCast. You can find me on X at WhoDatWesley13. Jeff, where can we find you in your Aaron Rodgers coverage?
Yeah, Steel Curtain Network, steelcurtainnetwork.com. And also, you can check me out on social media at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. But that does it for another episode of The Way We See It. Wesley, enjoy your week. We'll talk next week. Take it easy.
See you, man.